conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, the revival of an ancient conflict recorded in the Bible?
The nation of Israel is a resurrected nation. What if there was going to be a resurrection of another people, an enemy people of Israel?
The Dragon's Prophecy. Watch it now or buy the DVD at thedragonsprophecyfilm.com.
Coming up, Debbie and I have some really good issues to talk about. Is New York going to become New Yorkistan? A winning MAGA platform for 26 and 28? How Tucker Carlson became a fan of Venezuela's socialist dictator Maduro? What exactly is Christian Zionism? Do conservative men need to be lectured by conservative women? And that failed terror attack in Dearborn, Michigan. Hey, if you're watching on X, Rumble, or YouTube, listening on Apple or Spotify, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe, the follow, the notifications button. I'd appreciate it. This is the Dinesh D'Souza podcast.
America needs this voice. The times are crazy. In a time of confusion, division, and lies, we need a brave voice of reason, understanding, and truth. This is the Dinesh D'Souza podcast.
Guys, Debbie and I have a really fascinating plate of issues to cover today. Very important stuff that's been going on this week or that's right ahead of us. Honey, I do want to mention that you did forget to do something, which is that you were going to wear your Star of David necklace today.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to wear it right alongside my cross. You actually forgot both.
I wear it with my cross. I wear both of them together with the cross.
Yeah, and talk about how you got the necklace and why is it important? I mean, you're not Jewish, you're Christian, but you are comfortable, I mean, not occasionally, wearing a Star of David necklace, and it makes a point. And what is that point?
The point is Israel is my spiritual homeland. And Jesus was born and died in Israel. So it's very symbolic. And
right.
And the necklace is also has a double meaning because when we went to Israel in 2022, my mom had gone in 2014, but she did not buy herself a Star of David necklace. She couldn't afford it, so she didn't buy one. And so when we went, she asked, bring me back one thing and one thing only, and that was a Star of David necklace.
Right.
And so remember
we were with a big tour, right? And so we were being rushed over here and rushed over there, and I was giving talks along with Sebastian Gorka.
Yeah.
So it was actually not that easy for us to pull that off. But when we were in Jerusalem, was it in the big market?
It was the very last day we were in Jerusalem, the very last day we were in Israel. I said, we have to do it now, otherwise we're just not going to. And I found a really pretty one, really beautiful little gold Star of David. And of course, my mother was overjoyed when I gave it to her. She wore it all the time.
And what you're saying, it has a double significance because when she passed away, it came right back to you. And so now you have it, but it was hers. And so it has that additional significance. We have other topics, but let's talk about Israel for a moment, because we were discussing, I think just last night, what is it about Israel, a relatively recent experience for both of us. Neither of us had been. Kind of unusual, because I've been a lot of places. You've been a fair amount of places, not as many as me, but together we've covered a lot of territory, but neither of us had been to Israel. What makes the place special at all?
Well, for one, I have read the Bible many, many times over, from beginning to end, multiple times in the last 20 years or so. And, as you read the Bible and you read about people and places, you have the faith as a Christian, as a believer, that they exist, or they existed, right? And you just picture it in your head. Oh, this is what it must have looked like. This is what Shiloh must have looked like. This is what the city of David must have looked like.
Or
just
like
in your
Jesus
head.
going to the
or
temple.
Or Jesus walking to the temple. This is what it must have looked like. But when you go and you actually walk these places and look at these things and touch the very pottery that they had, it's an unreal feeling. It's unbelievable. It's undescribable.
It certainly is. I think it's also the fact that there's something about the people over there, and I've been trying to think about what it is. Is it in fact that these are somewhat biblical people? I mean, some of them are not. I mean, they're not necessarily even religious, but they do have a tenacity that I think we have to be impressed by. We were in Jerusalem. This is when we went for the pilgrimage road, and sirens start going off, and we're having dinner with a friend of ours. We all have to rush into the kitchen to the safe area, and everyone is just kind of shrugging their shoulders, like, here we go again. And you said to one of these young women, like, how do you live like this? And she just goes, well, we have to, right? But she didn't say it like she was downcast,
they don't have
or
any
that
other
she was
choice.
defeated. She said it like, this is our life, we accept it, and we find a way to smile through it. And, you can't not admire that. I
mean, look, you can't... The truth of it is these people, all of the Jews, came back to Israel, as it was written in Ezekiel, came back to Israel.
And other places in the Bible.
And other places in the Bible, to seek refuge. This is the one place that Jews feel safe as far as anti-Semitism, right? They know that they're not going to have that issue. However, they have another issue, and that is they're constantly, I sent you something just yesterday morning about Hezbollah, about them firing rockets at Hezbollah, because guess what? Lebanon hasn't stopped hating on Israel.
It doesn't. It never stops.
It
right?
never stops.
So the other thing about it is, and remember when we went down to Gaza, there was a group of IDF soldiers who were having training.
Mm-hmm.
And what really struck me was that these were like 19
Kids.
and 20-year-olds. You have some girl with a ponytail, and she's got this AR-15 or equivalent, and these are people signing up to defend their country. And apparently they have had just recently a new call-up in the draft because they have military service, and something like 300,000 Israeli teenagers, or all recent teenagers, willingly sign up.
Well, they know that it's a requirement, and they know in other words, even when they're like young kids, they know that when they turn 18, they have to defend their country, and most of them, if not all of them, do it willingly.
No, absolutely. So it is. There's something very, very unique about that, and I think it's especially striking at a time when other places in the world are more homogenous. We've been together to London. Now, London retains an element of its old past, but London is also very different, right? We've joked about Londonistan.
Yeah.
And you do see that element now. Mm-hmm. In other places, it's so Americanized, or it's so lost its distinctive color, that you're in a place and you're like, where am I? Am I in Zurich, or am I in Copenhagen, or am I in Stockholm? The places have become interchangeable almost. But that is not the case by and large with Israel. In a good way, you just feel, and there are other places in the world that are like this, where you're like, this is a unique place with its own unique history. And we were talking also about how, for us, the biblical archaeology was very decisive, because it's not just that we are there in the present, we are also there in the past, because just like when you see a star, it's a star from like 5 light years ago. You're not actually seeing the star as it is now. When you pull an artifact out of the ground and you hold it and you look at it, you realize this is a coin from 3,500 years ago. This carried value 3,500 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's even more significant when you see what's written on the coin.
And what about the ashes? The ash from a fire that happened, 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago?
Yeah, it happened in 70 AD. So think about it.
2,000 years ago.
Jesus was born in 4 BC, thereabout. He died in 32 AD. 40 years later, the temple was destroyed. By the way, Jesus predicted the temple would be destroyed, and it was. And by the way, in my arguments with these sort of groypers and these other, characters, this one guy goes, Jesus came back and destroyed the temple. And I'm like, unless you're speaking in some kind of exotic metaphorical way, Jesus did not come back. I mean, think about it. Did Jesus die in 32 AD, reappear to his apostles, then be ascended into heaven, and we're told he's going to come again? But no, according to these dudes, he made an unannounced appearance in 70 AD, brought the temple down. So these people are like...
They just don't know the Bible, honey.
Well,
That's
I mean, they're theological whack jobs.
Yeah.
They don't care about the Bible.
Right.
They're happy to make up any kind of nonsense to push the point. And what is their point? And we talked about this too. To them, Christ is king is basically a cudgel with which to beat the Jews.
Well, we're gonna talk about that a little later when we talk about the winning MAGA platform.
Well, let's talk about it now because we're in Israel, and this ties into it. Well, we're going to come back to Mom Donnie.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is, let's talk about Christ is king because this is actually a slogan that you and I and any other Christian would normally be on board with. But why? But now we are a little bit on our guard. Why is that?
Well, whenever I see that
on social media,
I know it's code for I'm an anti-Semite.
Wow.
Yes.
That's how it's being used.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
And
it's code for I hate Jews and I'm an anti-Semite and Christ is king, but they forget that Christ is a Jew.
King.
The king is a Jew. And he would not be on board with this kind of hatred.
I mean, that's probably the part about it that they hate the most, right? The Jewishness of Jesus.
I made the analogy this morning. I said it's like someone being like anti, animal, being for animal rights, being anti, don't kill the animals, and wearing a fur coat.
Right.
It's like, do you not understand that Jesus is a Jew and was and is and always will be a Jew?
Right. Jesus never repudiated his Jewishness.
That's right.
Now, Jesus repudiated particular Jews and particular camps of Jews. Yeah. He didn't like the certain Pharisees. He didn't like the Sadducees. He was against the religious establishment. But that would be like saying that you and I, who are Americans, we don't like the police state, and we don't like Merrick Garland, and we don't like the Democrats. So are we repudiating our Americanness? I mean, just think about the low IQ statement that would represent. If someone were to say that, we're anti-American because I saw you criticize some Americans, Dinesh. Right?
Yeah, no,
it's idiotic.
It's truly idiotic, truly. And the other code word is America First. And that's really sad because we are America First.
Right.
But these people are, when I see Christ is King, America First, I see I'm an anti-Semite and I hate all colors except white in America.
What you're talking about here is a group of people, and a lot of them are young people, and I think some of them are bots, to be honest, because I'll give you an example. There was a Nick Fuentes post, and 4 minutes later, he has like 2,000 likes. So right away you go, wait a minute. Is it the case that seconds after he posts all these, or is it the case that something is going on here? This is some kind of an operation, as some people say, a psyop. I don't know. But let's put that to the side. The point I think we're trying to make here is there's just a lot of open and naked bigotry that is being pushed in the name of America First.
Yeah.
Now, in a way, Fuentes maybe gets too much credit or too much blame, or maybe people think it all comes from him. I don't think it all comes from him. It's actually some of it out there. He becomes the kind of voice of it, right? The leader of it. And so he becomes the spokesman for this kind of groyperism. It's bigger than Nick. But there are other people who are trying to, and I think this is our main concern, they're trying to open the gates of the conservative movement and let those people in.
And they're trying to hijack it is what they're doing.
They're trying to hijack MAGA.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is not, and I don't know if a guy like Kevin Roberts at Heritage has been sort of suckered into this, because he's like, well, I want to figure out a way to reach those people, right? And I look at this guy in many ways so clueless, his statements, and he, at one point, the guy, think about it, this is the head of the Heritage Foundation. He apparently makes about $1 million a year. He goes, I was a little taken aback by all this because I don't follow the news. I'm thinking, wait, you're the head of the premier policy think tank on the right, and you don't follow the news. Apparently, he watches a lot of sports, according to him. I don't even know if I can believe
Who hired him?
Well, the board of trustees
and
hired
why?
him. But what I'm saying is, right, so when I watch that guy, first of all, the intellectual quality, this just does not impress you. You feel like you're losing brain cells when you listen to him talk. But just the ineptitude, if he's sincere, he's inept. And if he's not sincere, then something diabolic is going on. But look, he made a sincere apology. I'm like, all right, look, I'm gonna back off on this. Heritage can fix. They need to fix they need to put the ship up right. By the way, I was very touched that a number of the young guys who are with me at Heritage, going back to the 80s, who now are not so young.
Who are no longer young
They're not
guys,
so young.
by the
They're
way.
now like the senior.
they're all grandpas now, like you.
like me. But I'll give an example. There's a guy named Robert Rector, very quiet guy, hardly, didn't speak very often, and but I could tell he's just a solid guy. But he's not the kind of guy who's restless. You say I'm restless, and I've obviously had like 12 different positions since then. I went to the White House, I came to AEI, and I went here, I went there. This guy's still at Heritage. He was at Heritage when I got there.
He's what I call not restless.
Right. I got there in 85. Think about it. I got there 40 years ago. He hasn't moved. I wouldn't be surprised if he's sitting at his same desk.
No.
Right? Maybe not. But nevertheless, he stands up. As I say, he's a reluctant, he's not a guy who loves to do public speaking.
I heard his speech.
And he just
I know.
spit like fire, this guy.
know.
And I was like, I'm so proud of you, because this is us in the Reagan days. And you reminded me of what we were all about and what we are still all about. Thanksgiving holds so many memories. I'm sure it's the same for you. Right now, there's a girl finding out she's pregnant, and in the next couple of weeks, she's going to make a decision. Whatever decision she makes will become her memory of this Thanksgiving season for the rest of her life. What will she be thankful for a year from now? Well, you. She'll be thankful that you introduced her to her baby by providing a free ultrasound, and she'll be thankful that she chose life as she prepares for her baby's first Thanksgiving. Take a stand for life by providing an ultrasound with Preborn. When a young woman sees her baby in the ultrasound and hears her baby's heartbeat, she is twice as likely to choose life. Just $140 provides 5 ultrasounds that can save 5 babies. $280 saves 10 babies. A gift of $15,000 provides an ultrasound machine that can save thousands of babies for years to come. You can help. Call 833-850-2229. The number again, 833-850-2229. Or go to preborn.com/Dinesh. There's a really powerful new film coming from Angel Studios on the Wonder Project. It's called Young Washington. It tells the untold story of how George Washington's character was forged long before independence, when he was just 20, facing failure, loss, and near death. Directed by John Irwin, who made Jesus Revolution, American Underdog, and starring Andy Serkis, Ben Kingsley, and Kelsey Grammer, it's a sweeping, high-quality production that reminds us what true leadership, virtue, and providence look like. This isn't revisionist history. It's the real story told with courage, truth, and respect for the values that shaped America. Young Washington releases on Independence Day 2026, on the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding. Become an early supporter by joining the Angel Guild today. Premium members get 2 free opening day tickets and help bring this inspiring story to theaters across America. Go to angel.com/Dinesh. That's angel.com/Dinesh. Help make Young Washington the #1 movie this Independence Day. Back to Mamdani. What about this business of New Yorkistan? I mean, is it something that is... We saw London go that way. Mm-hmm. And I think you have said that you're not even so worried about the socialism. You're more worried about the other. So explain.
Well, I think it's a really bad combo. But as I said, no politician anywhere, including Venezuela, including, Colombia, all the countries.
The old Soviet Union.
Including that, yes. They don't actually believe in the true sense of socialism because it doesn't exist.
They don't want to share the wealth.
It's absolutely a utopian idea that does not exist.
And never has.
And never has and never will. But these people use it as a means to get power because they know that a lot of people, and I call them sheeple, are going to listen to that and go, oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, stick it to them. How dare people make money?
Or why do I have to save for my rent? Or I don't know how I can save for my rent, so I want rent-free.
Right.
Why would I want to pay off these loans I took on? They're really large right now, and I chose to major in women's studies, and I don't have a way to pay these loans back, so it'd be kind of nice to see them forgiven or forfeited.
Yep. So all those things are... for some people. Now, when you're inherently a conservative, you balk at the idea of getting free stuff. You just do. I mean, I've shared with you some of the things that happened when I was a kid.
Talk about the free clinic.
And the other thing, yes, free clinic. So when I was young and came to America with my mom, and we lived with my grandparents because, we went down to Harlingen, the Valley, to live. There was a place called Su Clinica, and it was a government-funded clinic for people that didn't have money, right? So my mother was a school teacher, but, that was kind of it. She was a single mom. So she wanted to go to Su Clinica for all things medical, right? And I was so like, oh, Mom, I don't really want to do that. Not that I was uppity by any means. Well, maybe I was. I don't know. But I didn't like the idea of getting subsidized for anything, whether it be free lunch or anything. And but I will say that the free clinic that we went to, we would have an appointment at say 9 a.m. We wouldn't get seen by a doctor till about 2 p.m. And so these types of free clinics are a disaster.
They're the typical government-run DMV immigration office operations that are third-rate at best.
At best. And so, you did get free health care, but it was, wasn't whenever you needed it or wanted it. Right. And so my fear is really not even that, because he doesn't have a whole lot of power as far as,
he doesn't have control of the means of production. Exactly. He can't take away people's cars or their bank accounts.
But the one thing he does have control over is the fact that all of these Muslims are now coming out and feeling emboldened.
We saw some proclamations. Now, I will say that some of that stuff, and you showed me a bunch of it, some of it is fake. And by fake, I don't mean it's fake. Like there's this one Palestinian woman who goes, we're now ready to force everybody to become a Muslim. Muslim conversion lines are open. You can start lining up outside my apartment. Now, I think she is being ironic. She's being in your face. She's not being serious. But there are others who are.
Yes, there are many who are.
They're like, this is Sharia gaining a foothold in New York. They're very explicit about it.
Yes.
This is the opening stage of creating an Islamicized...
a mini caliphate.
Right. And he talk about the 50 congressmen.
Yeah. So basically, this person says that in 10 years...
He's a local leader.
Yeah. In 10 years, he is predicting that we will have 50 congressmen that are Muslims. And, and that's going to be, imagine...
50 out of 200.
Imagine 50 Ilhan Omars.
Right.
The damage that's going to do. It's just mind-boggling, really. But many people have come out and said, listen, look at London. Look how they started. They started with a Muslim mayor.
Sadiq Khan.
And he did the same thing. He promised people free this, free that, free transportation. I'm gonna cut down on crime. They have actually increased crime by like 40% in London. And most crime has been committed by these Muslim men.
So you're saying we could get all of that, Muslim rapes, no-go zones, a fear on the part of the cops to prosecute these Muslims.
I mean, yeah.
Public calls to prayer, a kind of Islamization of the public culture of New York.
Yes.
And that's a starting point.
And the other thing too is a lot of these Muslim boys are becoming more radicalized again. I mean, look what just happened in Dearborn. I've talked about Dearborn becoming a Mecca, right? Because it has. If you go to Dearborn, you hear the call to prayer.
Dearborn laid the foundation.
Yeah, you hear the call to prayer 5 times a day. You think you're in the Middle East, and so apparently they foiled an attack, an ISIS-style attack. I believe it was going to be on Halloween, and two guys. It involves more than 2 guys.
More than 2 guys.
It's about 6 or 7 guys, and of different Muslim backgrounds. So not all Sunni.
And who did they plan to attack?
Well, they were going to just target homes and blow up houses on Halloween.
And they got foiled.
Yes.
So we can expect more of this because we are creating the conditions for it. This is what New Yorkers have evidently voted for. They want more Dearborn to come to New York, basically.
Yeah.
Something I was thinking about, and that is that we think about the red-green alliance. The red being the socialists, the communists, the cultural left. We think about the green representing sort of Islamism or Islam. And that's Mamdani, right? He combines both. Now, we have actually got a historical example of the red-green alliance.
Yep.
And I had never thought of it quite this way. It was a red-green alliance that overthrew the Shah. Think about Iran for a minute. In the 70s, you and I kind of lived through it, right? There was a coalition. The Shah was not overthrown by the mullahs. He was overthrown by a combination of the left and the mullahs, right? And what happened is, and that's kind of what the left is trying to achieve now in the West.
Everywhere.
Right? But in Iran, there's a little bit of a sobering lesson, which is that then a fight broke out between the left and the mullahs.
And the mullahs won.
And the mullahs killed all of them.
Yes.
We're laughing because actually, this is what they bargained for. This is what they sign up for. They sign up for. We're like, we're signing up to get our heads chopped off in the end. And indeed, their heads were chopped off.
Yeah.
And it is not a joke to say that can happen here.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, wait until you have an actual regime of the red and the green. And I predict that the green will slaughter the red because the green is more primitive. It's more savage. It is more. It is willing. The green is willing to cut the heads off the red. The red may not be willing to cut the heads off the green.
Yeah, because really the red are just there for to get the rest of the
The red want the Moulin Rouge Society. Yeah. They're like, okay, mullahs, help us to achieve the Moulin Rouge Society.
And they're like, you're gotta be kidding.
And
right?
The mullahs are like, yes, we'll help you for now, but wait till we get power.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Right? So this is where...
Yeah, this is
how it plays. My point is with Iran, we've seen the script.
Yeah.
And we've seen the ending.
Yeah, we have.
So now, obviously, we're going to try to prevent that ending here by preventing the Red-Green Alliance from winning at all.
I personally think it's a little too late.
It's a little too late for what?
To prevent it.
To prevent the infiltration, which has been now going on for 30 years.
I mean, look at where my former home, Sugar Land, Texas.
Right.
They're getting a madrasa. If you don't know what a madrasa is, it's a boarding school for boys, and obviously Muslim boys.
It's Islamic education.
Yes.
And these madrasas, by the way, are funded. They're funded by Saudis. They're funded by rich Arabs all over the world. Even in places that are poor, you find madrasas because the money pours in from rich parts of the Arab world. So, for example, Pakistan's a pretty poor country. They've got tons of madrasas, all funded by Muslim money outside of Pakistan. And the madrasas are the place where the terrorists are made.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's where because there's no real education in many of these madrasas.
No, that's what they're
quote,
for.
Religious education.
That's what they're for.
It's basically...
It's Jihad Academy.
I mean, it's sort of like West Point Jihad.
No, it's Jihad Academy.
Jihad Academy.
I'm telling you.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so a madrasa is coming to Sugar Land, Texas. And it's coming in the name of the people who are there, right? They're funding it. So it's it's private money. And I think what you're saying is how, it's not easy to stop because, hey, they're a school and they're going to use all the language of freedom. Like, hey, listen, if the Christians can have Christian schools, why can't, if the church can have church bells, why can't we have the public Islamic call to prayer? So they paralyze you with your own freedom in order to pave the way for institutions that do not have freedom as their end goal at all.
At all. And and this is just, the Houston area, right?
Yeah.
Sugarland. There's a lot going on in the Dallas area as well. And even though, Abbott has been a little cold on this, but he did sign an executive order saying no Sharia law in Texas. It's a little short-sighted because I think these people are like, oh yeah, no Sharia law right now. Just wait till we turn Texas blue and we will have Sharia law.
Right. They can't impose Sharia in a political environment where they still don't have the power.
Right.
Ultimately
they want to turn Texas blue because that's their end game. It really is.
It is their end game. Yeah. Let's talk about this phenomenon. And it's been bandied about quite a bit now. Christian Zionism. And I was on a podcast with Andrew Klavan at the Daily Wire. And he says, I keep hearing about these Christian Zionists. He's like, Dinesh, are you a Christian Zionist? And I was like, well, Andrew, I've never actually used that term. I've written 3 books on Christian apologetics. You won't find the word Christian Zionist in any of them. I go, but now that it's being flung at me, I'm going to embrace it. And you embrace it, right?
I have for a long time, though.
Yeah. So what is a Christian Zionist?
Well,
how do you understand it?
As I understand it, a Christian Zionist is someone that believes that Israel is your holy land. Israel is the land of the Bible, and it's your spiritual holy land. That's how I interpret it.
And what follows from that? It's our spiritual homeland, so what?
Well, that's why we want to protect it.
Yeah, and we don't want it turned over to Islamic radicals.
That's right.
So you're saying we have a religious and biblical stake in the land.
That's right.
And not only that, but you would say that there is also a biblical mandate to, and you've quoted this to me, and I've, of course, seen it in the Bible, to bless Israel.
That's right.
And by bless Israel, you don't necessarily mean everything that Israel does, but bless the people of Israel and bless the land of Israel.
Israel itself.
Right.
Yes.
And that's a Christian Zionist.
Right.
And
according to some people, yes, that's what it is. And I've always had that. I've always felt that way. So I've always been a Christian Zionist. I mean,
I'm just trying to think about this as objectively as I can. I'm trying to think about it. Now, I was born into a Catholic family in Bombay, India. Obviously, we had no direct ties to Israel. Later, India had its issues with the Muslims, and Israel has come into the picture, but not when I was growing up at all. So I'm just trying to think about the Catholic community I grew up in and what they would say about what you just said. And I think they would be 100% on board. They would be like, yes, it is the Holy Land. It is where Jesus lived. And we as Christians worldwide, they're not American Christians, obviously, have a stake in it. And we may never be able to get there. We might be too poor to be able to make our, spiritual pilgrimage over there. But we have a special stake there because that is the place where our Lord was born and lived and died.
And ascended.
Right. So what kind of Christianity is there that rejects that?
A very strange one.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, so in other words, we get these people who are like, they're like replacement theology, And I'm trying to think about what are you replacing?
Yes.
Right? Are you claiming that a new religion was started in the aftermath of Jesus's death?
That's what they're claiming.
That is now disconnected from Jesus himself, or Jew, disconnected from Jesus's Jewish roots, disconnected from the patriarchs and the prophets and Moses and the Psalms and Isaiah, and you don't need any of that anymore because Christ is king? That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. And,
yeah.
and it's like wrong, and it is a heresy. I mean, it really is.
I don't know any brand of Christianity that is on board with this. I mean, I recognize that from time to time in Christian history, at a time usually with turbulence and perhaps at a time when there is, conflict with the Jews.
Yeah.
And of course, at the time of the Nazis, we talked about this. The Nazis were in a very interesting position. When Hitler was running, and when the Nazis were running for office, this is before Hitler had full dictatorial power, which came later. They needed the Catholics in Bavaria and the Protestants, the Lutherans, in the rest of Germany. They needed them to vote for the Nazi party. And so they needed a form of Christianity. And the form of Christianity they came up with was called positive Christianity. But it might as well have been called, you guessed it, replacement theology. Yeah. Why? And you can see why. Because the Nazis were anti-Semites par excellence. Yeah. And so their mission was, how do we save Christianity but kick out the Jews?
Yes.
Answer,
replace it.
Replace it.
Yeah.
Replacement theology. And so this twisted anti-Christianity was peddled to the churches. And some of the churches went for it. Mm-hmm. But they went for it, I think, not because they were like, oh, Hitler has a point. No, they went for it because they're like, we're going to get our heads smashed in.
So coerced.
A combination of just terror and submission. Mm-hmm. Submission to evil. Mm-hmm. This is what Bonhoeffer, what was that quote from Bonhoeffer that you like to quote?
Silence in the face of evil. No, evil in the... Silence in the face of evil is evil itself.
Wow. I mean, it's I have my own version of that quote, which comes not from Bonhoeffer, but from Socrates. Socrates suggests that silence is just as revealing as speech, because he says, let's say you make a very controversial statement, right? Let's say, I'm going to go kill that guy, and you're serious about it, and I say nothing. That's telling you a lot about my position vis-a-vis what you just said, right? The silence is as telling as if I were to speak. And I mentioned this because in this big debate about MAGA, there are people, for example, who have chastised me and said, I listened to the Fuentes interview and I didn't see anything that Tucker said that was all that bad. And here's what my answer to that is. In that context, Tucker's silences spoke loudest, right? Because here's Nick Fuentes, Team Hitler, right? Here's Nick Fuentes, women deserve to be raped. Here's Nick Fuentes, women deserve to be beaten. Indians must go back to India, their smell, and on and on and on and on. And none of it came up. None of it was brought up. None of it was even mentioned. It was almost like Tucker was talking to a nephew of his about stuff that like, okay, now tell me about Thanksgiving. What are your plans for Thanksgiving? It was ultimately an effort to detoxify Nick, to sanitize him. The silence is what screamed loudest of all, I have to say.
Yeah.
MyPillow's right in the middle of their big 3-in-1 sale, and that's a sale you need to get in on. It's got a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. MyPillow bed sheets, just $29.88, any color, any style, any size, even kings. Regular price $119.98, now only $29.88. But once they're gone, so you need to act now. My Towels, back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular price $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset, queen size $17.98, kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when you spend $100 or more, you get free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-876-0227. That's 800-876-0227, or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Dinesh. You get the best offers ever. Quantities are low, so order now. It's mypillow.com, and the promo code is DINESH, Dinesh. I mean, this is the question, which I've said this point before, which is, this is not about canceling anybody. It's about, who are we as America first? Who are we as MAGA? Now, you mentioned a little earlier, there appears to be like this bigotry-tinged America first, or maybe bigotry-soaked America first. And some of it is so ugly and degrading that you said, I mean, at some point you almost begin to react negatively to the phrase itself.
Yeah.
Because you see what it has been doused in, right? It's like taking a white sheet and pouring all this dirt on it, and then going, yeah, we all stand for this. Well, actually, it's not that. It's kind of defiled, right?
It's stained.
Exactly. And that's what these people are doing. They're taking MAGA. And, you know, I talked about this yesterday on the podcast. I don't think these people are MAGA at all. It's not just that they're inside of MAGA trying to divide us. They are not MAGA. And many of these white supremacists, white identitarians.
So they use MAGA because here's the thing about MAGA.
Yeah.
So, you know, Trump is very, very vocal and adamant about sending illegal criminals back, right?
Right.
Deporting people.
Right.
So they go, well, I like that idea, but I don't just want to deport criminals. I want to deport everyone that was not born in America or isn't a white American or a real, you know.
Or Jews.
Or Jews.
I mean, they want to deport Mark Levin.
Right.
Like Laura Luber.
So now they get, so they get on that mantra because they know that Trump is on that train, but not on the same train. They kind of get on the train because they think, well, he's deporting people, so let's have him deport all these other people.
Right.
Because we're America first, you know?
Now, you know what this means? This is interesting because I see, I see some of these Indian Americans, and they're super mad. And by the way, they punished the Republican Party in New Jersey.
Yeah.
There's a whole community of Indians. They went for Trump. And now they've swung to the Democrats because they're being disrespected.
They're being bullied by some.
They're being degraded. And every time they post something, someone is like, get on a train, or you live in filth, or they post pictures from Slumdog Millionaire, or just from some slum in some remote part of India.
Right.
So
they mistakenly think that these are Republicans.
Right. And so what's happening is, and this is what I find so dismaying, if you had asked me 10 years ago, Dinesh, tell me about the racism you've experienced on the right.
Oh, I know. I totally get it.
I would answer, as you would answer, the same. We've been on the right for 30 years, and we have not experienced it. In other words, even on the far right, we basically are accepted, we are welcomed, and this racism you're talking about does not exist in our camp. This is not to say that you can't have a single episode here or there, which can happen in any big country, but there's no consistent experience of it.
Exactly. We've defended it. We've defended it.
Until now.
It's just, it's just disturbing. I mean, really disturbing. And
now I want you to talk about, you were saying to me at breakfast that there is a really strong element of envy here. And I do think we need to bluntly bring that out. What do you mean when you say envy? Envy toward whom? Yeah.
So, well, I said envy toward the Jews for sure, right? But now
the most successful group, by the way, in world history.
Yes. So, but also now, some of these same people, these Groypers, are going after Groypers, whatever.
Exactly.
You notice I don't even pay attention. But anyway, they're going after Asian Indians like you.
Right.
People that came in through that, what is it?
Well, they especially hate the H-1B. But leave the H-1B aside, because there's some controversy about the H-1B, and is it being abused, and is there an unholy alliance between these?
But Vivek is an American citizen. He was born here, right? So he doesn't even apply in that sense. But they still attack him, and they still attack you. But the reason is some of these white men are attacking Asian Indians because they claim that they have all the that they got all the jobs, all the IT jobs. They're the doctors, they're the engineers,
the best jobs,
all the best jobs. And when I was a teacher, high school teacher, I had a lot of Asian Indian students in my class, and all of them were straight A students. They worked very hard. They studied.
Their families pushed them.
Their families pushed them. They worked very hard. They studied very hard. And I had some white students that were not so much. They were a little on the lazy side. And so now I think about that and I'm like, well, you could have had that too. But you chose not to do that.
You chose to study for 30 minutes a day, and the other guy chose to study for 3 hours a day.
And now they're mad because they have great jobs and they don't. And it's like, well, whose fault is that?
And then the same guys, this is actually interesting because it kind of cuts in every direction. Then they say, we need to send all the farm laborers and all the Mexicans, including your mom is a ninth generation Texan.
Ninth.
Right? So even though you sometimes told me she's Mexican American, and she is ethnically, but this is not, she's not an immigrant. In fact, your mom would get really offended.
She would get mad, yeah. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm the immigrant because I wasn't born here.
You were born in Venezuela.
I was born in Venezuela.
But she wasn't.
She was not. So, but...
And yet people say, get these people to go back home, right? And your point is, even when it comes to like the farm labor, the people who say that, let's get them out on a farm. Let's see what they do.
They won't last 2 hours. Right. Seriously.
Yeah. So again, they complain about these jobs. They go, well, obviously because those jobs don't pay enough. Let's say we increase the pay of those jobs 50%. You think they would do them?
No.
They wouldn't do them. So what you're really saying is that you've got people, and we're not talking about everybody, but you're saying that there is a segment of people.
That little fringe group there that is trying to hijack MAGA.
Yeah.
They are definite racists. Definite.
And you're saying that part of it is just the bitterness of being unable to compete in a competitive society. You have other people who are working harder, saving more, emphasizing entrepreneurship. They have stronger family values. Yeah. Their parents don't get divorced. Their mom doesn't have 4 boyfriends. And so the combination of individual effort and cultural factors, which are often involved, things like how much time you spend on homework, things like that, whether you decide to, major in basket weaving or you decide to major in computer science, all these things have an impact on what your earning power is going to be, right?
Correct.
All right. We just have a little bit of time. I want to touch on
the Venezuela.
Tucker Carlson's defense of Maduro. Now, I have to laugh. I mean, I'm laughing with a little bit of a bitter, because when I told you that, your face, you were like,
I mean, as if he hadn't irritated me already enough.
Yeah.
When that happened.
And let's look at his argument. He goes, yeah, the guy's probably a socialist. He goes, but he's socially conservative.
Yeah.
What did you make of that?
Well, first of all, most people don't know this. I know this because I'm very much, in that world. Maduro and Hugo Chavez were staunch believers in Santeria.
A kind of voodoo.
It's a voodoo type, for human and animal sacrifices, yes.
Yeah.
Very,
so this is what
demonic.
Tucker means by they're socially conservative. They chop up little animals and body parts.
Very conservative,
and they're in this kind of communing with the gods through voodoo.
Yep.
And so some of what of what they call social conservatism, Venezuelan style, comes out of that.
Yeah, it's demonic. I mean, and so I jokingly said, well, it takes a demon to like a demon, I guess.
You mean Tucker's being scratched by a demon? He's recognizing the Maduro
I just couldn't even believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I told you, I said, I feel like just like texting him and going, how dare you defend someone that literally crushed my family.
Yeah, he doesn't care. I mean, the thing is, that's why I said don't do it, is because the thing with Tucker is, look, he didn't care about Venezuela.
No.
And in fact, he doesn't really, I love it when you have all these people like Megyn Kelly and others. They're like, this infighting is terrible. We should be all focusing on get out the vote, and we needed to. And I'm like, well, really? Okay, so Tucker has a huge platform. Did he have Jack Ciattarelli on, the New Jersey candidate who lost? Did Tucker try to put him across the finish line? No. Did he have Curtis Sliwa on, or even Andrew Cuomo to help beat Mamdani? What efforts did he make to defeat Mamdani? Zero. In fact, he was, as I mentioned yesterday, praising Mamdani, at least praising him in a qualified sense. And with Venezuela, it's not a topic he's focused on. The moment that Qatar declares their intention to put a lot of money into lobbying Trump, they want to stop Trump from overthrowing Maduro.
Of course.
On cue,
of course,
Tucker does his defense of Maduro.
Yes.
And
that's why.
That's why.
That explains everything.
Yeah. I mean, now both of us have never gone along with the idea that Tucker is just being simply bribed, or that he's doing it for the money. But we can't avoid eerie coincidence.
You can't ignore that coincidence.
Right. It's too much of a coincidence.
You really cannot. Yeah.
You know what? We have our final topic we're going to save because it's too big and important a topipic for us to try to dive into.
It would be an hour and a half podcast.
I'm just gonna, right. We can even do a whole Friday discussion of it. And it has to do with, all of this was kicked off by Ali Stuckey, who was basically talking about what we conservative women need from men. We need men to do this. We need men to do that. And all these men were like,
what's in it for me?
No, they were like, shut up. They're like, we don't need to hear it from you.
But that's why.
But there's an argument on both sides here, which I think is very interesting. And this actually, by the way, is the stuff that a lot of young people are wrestling with. It's not the slop they're getting from Candace or Tucker. Which is, I mean, with Candace, it's like midget bowling, and by that I mean it's just a freak show, right? You don't want to look at it, but there's a midget going right down, and about to hit the pins. You're like,
honey, you always have the funniest.
I agree that my analogies are not normal, but what Candace is doing is not normal either. I need an analogy that matches the freakishness.
I don't think you can, actually, to be honest.
But we are going to take a rain check on this Ali Stuckey business.
What men really think of these conservative women.
Exactly. Yep. Another time.
Subscribe to the Dinesh D'Souza podcast on Apple, Google, and Spotify, or watch on Rumble, YouTube, and SalemNow.com.